Hi everyone, it's Ricky from Bromero Cards, and I'm back this week to share a card I made using some Stampin' Up! Products that are in my stash. We will be using the following products. First, we'll be using the Lift Me Up Stamping Up dies and stamps. We'll also be using cupcakes and carousel paper. We'll be using a We Are Memory Keepers embossing folder, a small piece of pattern paper at 3 1/4 by 1 3/4, another piece at 4 1/4 by 3 1/4, another piece of very vanilla cardstock at 5 1/4 by 4, some light blue cardstock at 5 1/4 by 4 1/4, a regular piece of light blue cardstock, a piece of white paper, glue, a glue tape gun, glue dots, 3M foam tape, and some Pretty Pink Posh crystal sequins. Okay, and here we go. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is emboss our very vanilla cardstock. We're going to put this through the machine. As you can see, my first mistake here was I left the metal shim in. You want to take that out. You never want to force this through your machine or it could actually break it. So we go ahead and take that we take that out, that cardstock out, and now we're going to cut the hot air balloon from the Stampin' Up! Die set. And I'm just going to use a regular piece of white cardstock here. It doesn't matter what size it is. You're just as long as the die fits on it. We're going to stick that through the machine. And then what we're going to do is take that off. We're going to set it aside. And then we're going to stamp out the actual pieces that go behind the hot air balloon. What I'm doing here is I'm doing alternate sizes. And then I'll cut it on one side here. And that'll give us every other piece on the back. And then what I do is flip the sheet over because I'm just going to use the other side of the paper. And then we finish this up, and then I notice I forgot the basket, so I'm going to go ahead and get that done. Then we're going to take the piece of the balloon and we're going to stick it on this piece of foam with the brush. That's going to take out all the little pieces. This tool is like excellent. Everyone should have one of these if you have a detailed die that requires a bunch of work. Okay, so next up we're going to take our two smallest pieces of pattern paper and we're just going to glue these together. I'm going to glue the diamonds to the bottom part of this pink sheet that kind of indicates that it's the wind that's on the sheet. And then what we're going to do is put the pieces onto the hot air balloon. I'm just going to use a glue gun and put some glue on the back of this. It's see-through, so it's not a really big deal. Here in a second you'll see how I fix this. I'm going to put all these pieces together like a puzzle and make them match up on the back of the balloon. I'm going to add the basket there. And then what I do is I take my EK Success tool and just coat it with the powder so that it's not sticky. So now we're going to start putting the card together here. I have this blue piece of paper, and then here I'm trying to show you a cool trick that my friend Melinda told me. So I'm addicted to paper and I do not like wasting paper. So this is a good tip she told me, is to use a rectangle die and cut out the middle piece of a piece of paper that you're not going to be using so that you could use it at another time. And then the frame that comes from that is what you use to put your card on. So this is what you're actually seeing me do right now. We're going to put that through the die cutting machine and we're going to go ahead and put that through really quick. And you see the frame and the plain piece of paper. You just put this plain piece of paper to the side and use it another time. So now we're going to attach this embossed piece to the outside frame. I'm going to use some glue here on the edges. And then I'm going to try to put this on evenly. You'll see me mess it up here for a second. Just as long as you don't press all the way down on this glue, you should be fine. So then I go back and then I add it again and it finally gets to an area of where I like. Now we're going to start putting the card together. I'm going to take my balloon and my pattern paper and I'm actually going to add this piece of ribbon that I have. It's really shiny, it looks metal. I really liked it. In fact, I liked it so much that I had to go on eBay and try to find this ribbon, and I actually found it, thank goodness. So I'm going to put some foam tape on the back of the pattern paper. You're going to see me put it on all the edges and then one piece in the middle. The one piece in the middle you actually do not have to take off to stick to the card because you're only really using it to have dimension on the card and it doesn't really need to stick. So we're going to place that evenly onto the card base. And then you're going to see me here play around a little bit with the balloon to try to figure out exactly where it's going to go. We're going to start doing the sentiment. I'm going to take my EK Success powder tool here, and I'm going to put some powder on it so the embossing powder does not stick to the card when you go to put it on. And then the sentiment I used is sending smiles across the miles. I'm going to stick this to my acrylic block. I actually had to lick it or put a little bit of lick it or spit on it just to get it to stick to the block. For some reason it wasn't working. It's kind of gross, but whatever it gets it to stick on, right? So I'm going to get my embossing stuff out here. I just use coffee filters to do this with. I'm going to use some Versamark ink, and then we're going to stamp this down evenly onto the paper. Excuse my hat. Then we're going to take some white embossing powder, and we're just going to cover this up. And then after we do that, we're going to heat emboss it with the heat embossing tool. So I let my heat gun heat up, and then we're going to emboss this. It takes a lot longer to do that than this. Through the magic of the internet, we actually made that shorter. I wanted to cut a little piece off the top of this. It was a little bit too wide, and then I'm going to cut it narrow down towards the bottom as well. And then I'm going to cut off a little bit of the side here. I'm going to make a flag out of it. I just wanted to make sure it was fitting on the card. I went back and forth with this. This video actually took me 38 minutes to do. So this card took 38 minutes. I'm going to make a flag out of this just by taking my scissors and cutting I guess what you would call a dovetail or a flag tail out of the cardstock. And then I'm just arranging it here to make sure that's what I want to do. And then all of a sudden I notice something's wrong. I actually used the incorrect paper on this. And I'm so happy that I did not press all the way down on that frame. So I get the correct color piece of paper, and I'm going to go ahead and glue this down like I had before. And I'm not even going to waste the middle part. It was taking too long. But you can use the tip for next time. So now we're going to start putting this together again. I'm going to put some foam tape on the balloon and make sure to add some onto the basket and then onto the sentiment as well. And then I'm going to play around here for a little bit, trying to figure out where exactly I want everything to be. And here back and forth. I probably spent 5 minutes on this maybe. Take off the backing paper, go ahead and stick the sentiment down, and then I'm going to do the same thing with the balloon. Then I'm going to take the sequins and use some glue dots and place them onto the card. I try to do a triangle, makes it look a little more presentable, but I had 5 sequins, so that's where I placed them. So then what I'm going to do is put some glue on the back of this and stick it to just a card base. It's a 110-pound Neenah cardstock. And then I use liquid glue on this because it's a lot easier to move around if you do not get it exactly right onto the card base. And then I position it there and the card is complete. I want to thank everyone for watching and subscribing to my channel. The products I used in this video are discontinued, but if you are interested in Stampin' Up! Products, click the link in the description to take you to my store. Thanks for watching and have a great day.